welcome to the Provo City Library podcast. I'm Erika Hill. I'm the Community Relations Manager.
I'm Carla Gordon. I'm the Library Director.
And we are cheating. We are coming up on our second anniversary of podcasting, which is very exciting. And so for our 25th episode, we thought something that we would do is make it easier for you to find our book recommendations. Because we don't always just talk books.
No.
We talk all things library, and we're going to stand behind that. But we know that sometimes you're just here for the books.
So instead of having you go back and listen to all of them just to get the recommendations at the end, we thought we'd compile them together to make it easier.
And initially our thought was to do it in one episode, but would you believe it? We talk too much.
Shocking.
So this will be however many parts it takes, and enjoy. Okay, last thing.
Okay.
What are you reading right now, other than Anne of Green Gables?
Okay, right now
Or
I'm
what did you
reading
finish?
a book called Eagle Drums. And I cannot pronounce the lady's first name, but her last name is Hobson.
Okay.
And she is an indigenous people. It's up in a tribe in I want to say Canada. And it's so cool. It's about this, it's like a story that relates to the people, a feast that they have. So it's a traditional story written by someone who is of that native tribe, and it is amazing. I'm loving it. I don't really love fantasy books. That's not really my favorite genre, but I really like folktales, and this one is a really good, gives a good description of what happened to them in that life. And I'm cold, I'm warm, I'm feeling all the feels with this book.
That's a good writer.
Fantastic.
You go.
Me?
'Cause
Oh, which one am I?
Well, we both have one on our list.
I know,
So
like,
we're gonna see who
claims
who's gonna
it.
claim it first.
You read so many more books than me.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm taking it. Carla was like, I'm going to talk about this.
fine.
And I was like, oh, wait, I just finished. The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. Catherine Arden wrote The Bear and the Nightingale.
Yes, I love that.
She is also lovely.
She was delightful.
Yeah, she's fantastic, fun to meet. She kind of writes all over the place, like, because she's got a middle grade series. She had a picture book just come out, and then she got the Bear and the Nightingale series. Yeah. So this one is some siblings in World War I, and they're from Canada, but fighting in Belgium. Well, she's a nurse. At the beginning of the book, she has been injured, and so she's back in Nova Scotia, and then her brother is in Belgium. And she receives his belongings, but his death is not confirmed. And she kind of gets this, and they're like, there's a little bit of like, supernatural stuff. I mean, it's very like, okay, there's these three old women, and she never says they're like the fates, but there's sort of like Greek mythology happening. Like these three old women, and she has a vision. She decides to go and look for her brother, and yeah, there's some kind of
Definitely questy, like.
Okay.
definitely like Orpheus and Eurydice kind of, except siblings, not lovers, and it's not weird. It's just there's brother and sister.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it's haunting is a word that gets thrown around.
Really good.
It was really good.
It's really good.
Okay.
The Warm Hands of Ghosts.
It's on my list.
It was very good.
World War I.
Also, like, what a brutal war. Just the worst.
How long ago did we do the last podcast? Because I might do a different one than what I was planning on, because did we do the women? Have we talked about
No,
the
we have not talked about the women.
That is on my list too.
Oh my goodness.
Kristen Hanna?
Kristen Hanna. Like, Kristen Hanna's amazing. Everybody loved The Nightingale. That's not my favorite of hers. I love The Four Winds the most, but the women, I know. But every time I tell somebody, they're like, yeah, I just read The Women. I'm like, and did you sob like a baby? And everybody's like, yeah, we did. Because it talks about women nurses in Vietnam. And it is amazing and so brutal. War is brutal, but at that time when they were fighting and at home, they were not getting support, but they didn't really realize that. So when they would come home, just what they had to go through, and then to be a woman on top of that. So she would try to get help for veterans, and they'd be like, well, there's no women in Vietnam. And she's like, well, I was there.
Wow.
And so just relationships and people, like it was, her stuff is so good.
It's so good. It's like beautifully wrecked is how it leaves
That's a
you.
good description.
You know, we were doing outreach at like an old folks home, and one of the ladies there, I mentioned, because I think I just read The Four Winds, or we might have had The Nightingale in a cart, and she was like, Kristen Hanna, her books are awful. And I was like, what?
Difference of opinion?
How so? And she was like, they are so sad. And I was like, yeah.
They're real.
The best ones are though,
Yeah, I
you know,
know.
they tug at your heartstrings.
And I
make you feel.
Yeah.
And see a different part. It's a part of history that I think, I mean, it's a little mashy, like you see that influence in there, but less of the comedy and more of the just like people doing things that you just can't even imagine.
The older I get, the weirder and weirder it is that they set a sitcom during the Vietnam War. How hilarious. What a hilarious premise.
That is kind of weird.
So anyway, on that note, okay, our last question that we ask everybody. What have you read recently that you have loved?
So I recently read, and I forgot to look up who the author was because I completely blanked on the author, but I recently read The Color of Sound, which I loved. The writing was very lyrical, very beautiful, and it was just a fun story about a girl who has the ability to, when she hears music, to see sounds and see colors.
It's like synesthesia or something like that.
I can never say it right, but yeah.
Very good.
Anyway, it was, I love music anyway, and so I really connected with that when she would be talking about music in the book, but it was a really good book, just really well written and really delightful. So
very good. What age group?
It was definitely more of a middle grade, tween. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Color of Sound.
Color of Sound. I think I have decided to go light and fluffy.
Oh.
With I'm looking at a little note here. I read Scandalous Confessions of Lydia Bennet Witch by Melinda Taub.
Bennett, comma, witch, or like parentheses, witch,
comma, witch.
W-I-T-C-H.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So it was so funny, and I loved it. And I haven't read like a Pride and Prejudice spinoff in a long time, but it's as though Lydia were a witch, and she has magical powers, and she's actually the seventh daughter of a seventh daughter. And so there were some daughters before Jane and Lizzie that died.
Oh.
So you don't know about them. And also there's Jane and Lizzie and Mary and then Lydia.
And then Kitty?
No, and then Lydia. And Lydia loves Mary so much she follows her around, and Mary just wants nothing to do with her. And so she feels kind of left out, and she has this magical ability. So she starts falling in love with the cat and like making the cat as her best friend, whom she names Kitty, whom she morphs into a person. And everybody in the family just accepts the cat as one of the daughters, who is Kitty.
That is really funny.
It is really funny. And the whole thing, like the way she puts it in and how she changes the character. I mean, Wickham is a demon. What else do you need to know? I mean, that makes sense. Anyways, it was just really fun. I hadn't done something like that in a long time, and it was fun to do something a little different, a little lighter, funny, remember why. You love those characters, even if they're in a kind of different situation than the one that was originally written for them.
So we both went light and fluffy for this one.
Well, summer reads. There you
because
go.
I actually have a Goodreads tag that is fluffy books. Like
Excellent.
it's just, mine is called If the Shoe Fits. It is the first in a series of Disney princess retellings by modern contemporary rom-com authors. So If the Shoe Fits is Cinderella, obviously.
Naturally.
In this one, she is a shoe designer, and she ends up on her stepmother, who is not wicked, because I just don't feel like that plays well in a modern context, but is a reality TV producer. And through a series of things, she ends up on like a Bachelor show. And shocker, ends up with the Bachelor. It's called Before Midnight is the show that they...
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
And yeah, it was fun. It had sort of all the things that you want in a little fluffy rom-com, and it was quite predictable. And
Sometimes it's nice to read one of those.
I mean, I up until then had read like the book right before that I read was The Fountains of Silence, which is like the Spanish Civil War, and babies are stolen and sold into adoption.
That's heavy.
I just needed a palate cleanser. And this was great. It's a little bit of a, and I was like, okay, if these are Disney retellings, it's probably not gonna get too spicy. And it was a closed door romance, which is just fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read the next. There's If the Shoe Fits, and I may already have By the Book, which is the Beauty and the Beast retelling, and then there's Kiss the Girl, which is
Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm. And then where that one I read the synopsis. She's like in a group called the Siren Sisters or something, like a musical group, and yeah.
Wow.
And then the next one is called Tangled Up in You.
Oh, fun. Rapunzel.
I think that comes out in June. So am I
fun.
just like unashamedly going to read all of those
Nothing
books?
wrong with that.
I am. Excellent. And they're fun.
Sounds really fun.
There we go.
Enjoy. Can we talk about books now?
We can talk about
much
books
more
now.
fun. Just really quick.
Quickly. I think that we have nearly taxed Jen's time for...
Maybe a little, but I'm always willing to be late when it comes to talking about books.
Great.
Books. What have you been reading?
Oh, what did I just finish? Well, board meeting, we talked about The Warm Hands of Ghosts.
Oh.
Just
Catherine Arden.
brilliant. So
So
brilliant. Let's see, what are my holds at the library? Oh, I just picked up Abby Jimenez's new contemporary romance, finally.
It says something about summer, doesn't it?
Yes, Just for the Summer.
Just for the summer.
That was great. Finished that last night. So
Cool.
I have a goal to read. It sounds sad for some of you who are like crazy readers, but a goal to read 100 books every year until I die.
No, that's great.
That's a good goal.
That's a good goal.
And I hit it this week.
Amazing. I'm
In
not.
June.
I'm not there.
I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So yeah, I'm really excited. Let's see, another one. Have you guys read Gentleman in Moscow?
Yes.
I love that book so much.
It's a good one.
So good. So what are you guys reading?
I'll go next. I just read James by Percival Everett.
Oh,
Did we talk
I say
about that
right?
in the last
I
podcast?
looked it up and I don't
No.
think we did, but if I did, it's worth 2 mentions. It's called James, and it is Huckleberry Finn told from Jim's perspective with just some really interesting twists and turns and explanations for why Huck Finn is written the way it is. It was just amazing. And my prediction is it's going to be winning some very big awards. It's timely and beautifully written, and I absolutely loved it. And I need more people to read it so I can talk about it with them.
I know. I keep meaning to read
know.
it, but
It's fine.
It's always available to me. Whereas some of my holds that I've been on hold for forever are just finally coming in.
Okay, well, what are you reading?
So what I'm reading, I'm actually not done with it yet, but I am reading, it's called The Fragile Threads of Power.
heard of it?
By V.E. Schwab, who wrote The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I love. Love that book.
Me too.
So much. So after reading that book, that I was like, well, new favorite author.
Right.
I read it's called The Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. You don't really read fantasy that much. Do you? Oh.
I feel like I've just been insulted, but I read fantasy.
You read fantasy. I don't know that you get into like trilogies.
I'll read a trilogy. I will not read something with more than 3 books.
I'm really
there's
into the new trend of duologies lately.
Sure.
duology is
Sure.
nice.
I'm loving that.
Yeah.
Another book we have to mention, I don't know if you guys mentioned it last time, but Ali Condi's new book, The
The
Unwedding.
Unwedding. I haven't read it yet. I
I
need
just
to.
finished it.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, it's so good. Like
Ali
mystery,
Condi.
and it was Reese Witherspoon's
Book pick of the month.
Which was fantastic. Congratulations to Ali. It's just a fun mystery. Like she just writes so well, and my heart just like I connected to the
Ellery,
characters in it.
yeah.
Just it was great. Read it.
I feel like of Ali Condi's like feathers in her cap, you know, like New York Times bestselling author, Reese Witherspoon book club pick, Provo City Library board member.
Yeah, she is on the board.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. She's great.
And she is great. Yeah. Super awesome. I also have to say, I went to the Shakespeare Festival this last weekend.
Was it good? How are they this year?
So great. We saw A Winter's Tale, which is one of the very few Shakespeares I have never read. And
There's a bear in that one.
there's a bear. Yeah. It's that famous exit stage with bear chasing. Like what? But yeah, it's when
Exit chased by bear.
yeah, it's a tragic comedy. So the first half of it is very like the typical tragedy. Everybody is sad and everybody's dying. And then it like abrupt shift to comedy.
Oh, hilarious.
And yeah, it's one I had never read before. I read it before we went down and I was like astounded. There's so many one-liners in there that I'm like, if I were to have a tattoo, it would be that. Oh. Right? You know, just like,
Tattoo-worthy.
yeah, tattoo worthy for reals. And some strong female characters that you're like, she's awesome. So anyway, highly recommend A Winter's Tale.
Nice.
Well, thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah.
If you made it
If
this
you
far.
did, it's possible.
made it
I mean,
this
if you're watching this, you did make it this far. If you didn't, then you didn't. Should we talk about books?
Let's talk about some books.
What have you?
I don't know. I have two that I read recently that I really liked, both of them. Ruth Ware's new book, One Perfect Couple, I believe is the title. But it's a reality show. Couples go to this island in the middle of the ocean, obviously, but like a far, far away, and try to compete to be the perfect couple. And so
Are they coupled before?
they're coupled before, but I mean, it's an island. Nobody's married.
I bet they don't all
Nobody's
stay
married.
together.
But they, that big storm comes and they are stranded there. Basically, they don't have any way of contacting anyone because their cell phones were all taken away from them, and there's only so much food. So there's going to be some conflict over who eats.
Who?
There is no cannibalism in this book, but it was really good. Ruth Ware is always fun. Like, her stuff is usually mystery thriller based. This is kind of a little bit different from what she's done in the past, but it was delightful. It was fun. I wasn't sure exactly what was happening the whole time, or
Was there one perfect couple?
there was not. They didn't get very far into the competition, and then people started dying.
But not getting eaten.
But not getting eaten. Nobody ate anybody.
That's. You don't want to be surprised with cannibalism. It's not usually.
No.
It's not usually.
No.
How things go down.
How about you?
I am. Let's see. What have I finished? I just finished "Tangled Up in You," which is the fourth meant to be novel. It's a retelling of Tangled. It's delightful. It's by Christina Lauren, though much less spicy than some of her typical fare. Because
These are usually pretty. This series.
It is decidedly closed door. Like, yeah. It's a closed door romance. There's more language than you would find in a typical Disney film.
Okay.
Because they're like contemporary rom-coms, but they are, closed. Closed. They close that door.
I don't want to ruin anything
And
by
you know what?
saying
It's okay.
that they get together in the end.
They do. It's one of my favorite. I don't know if it's his favorite thing, but anytime I read one of these books, I'm like, Brent, I always tell Brent, I'm like, would you believe it?
They got together.
They got together. There were some conflicts, and then they got together. Yep, definitely did see that coming. I am also in the middle of Leanne Moriarty's new book.
Oh, I'm
Here One Moment.
jealous. I'm on a hold list.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I'm liking it more. So I've read everything that she's written. I'm liking it more than Apples Never Fall.
Okay.
Her most recent one. Yeah, this one is about, it's reminding me a lot of Nine Perfect Strangers.
Okay.
In terms of, there's a woman on a plane, an elderly woman who has a kind of out-of-body experience and starts predicting the deaths of everyone on the plane. Like, I predict you will die of heart disease at 65. I predict, like, she points at a baby and says he will die of drowning at age 7. Like, she gives, which that mom's gonna, she's got some. So then it follows a bunch of these characters as they're trying to, because some of them, she predicted, oh, you'll live to 103. And they're like, okay, great. And living their lives like normal. But some she gave really, like, you'll die of this. And it turns out it's within this year. And so they're like, oh, do I, put my baby in swim lessons? Or so it's just sort of following a bunch of different characters. And I don't know where it's going to end up, but I am enjoying the journey.
Excellent.
So there we go. Let's talk about books.
Awesome.
What are you reading? Oh,
So
you
I
first,
just
me
finished,
first.
I don't know.
You first.
Okay, I go first. I just finished, it's called Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent by Judi Dench and somebody else who I don't remember his name. But he worked with her a lot. And so they sat down, I believe over COVID, and did all these interviews about all these Shakespeare plays that she's been in. And they kind of go play by play and talk about the characters and the roles she's played and what they all mean and the power behind language and how Shakespeare shaped our language. It was great. The thing so I listened to it, obviously. So it's actually a recording of the interviews. And then there's a book that like has the written stuff. And at the very end, there was like a little interview at the end with them. And he said, nobody's going to know this who listens or reads to it. But the hardest part of this whole project has been editing out all of Judi Dench's cursing. Evidently, she has a potty mouth, which I wouldn't have expected. And also she's hilarious. And he at one point, he's like, every time you give her an orange, she shoves it in her mouth and makes an orange smiley face.
People handing Judi Dench oranges.
Judi Dench. She's just can't be serious for any length of time.
She has such a serious face.
I know, but she's hilarious. And it was just really fun to listen to her talk about Shakespeare.
So does it listen more like just an audio interview than like a book?
An interview? It's them talking back and forth. He'll ask her questions, and they have really good rapport. You can tell they've worked together for a long time, and every once in a while she's totally annoyed by him, and vice versa.
That's
good.
One of the 3 book clubs I'm in picked that for their November pick.
Really?
So hopefully I'll get it before.
You may be on hold for it.
I believe it currently says months. So, and there's no way for a library employee to skip the line.
There's not.
So,
Sorry.
it's okay.
We're all in the same boat.
We're all in the same boat. It's good. Okay, what dumb things have I read? I mean, they're fun. I have this thing where I will read a serious book, and then I just need maybe 2 or 3 short palate cleansers before. So I'm kind of in a palate cleanser mode. So I read, it's not dumb, but it is silly, sort of. I don't know. It's a romance. It's called When in Rome. And I actually just finished the sequel, which is Practice Makes Perfect. They're by Sarah Adams. When in Rome is a pop star, Taylor Swifty kind of reputation a little bit. Mega pop star. Decides to try and run from her obligations and but she's obsessed with Audrey Hepburn movies. So she wants to go to Rome, except actual Rome is too far. So she drives to Rome, Kentucky, which is this small town, 250 people. And her car breaks down on the lawn. Would you guess?
Of an attractive man.
An attractive single man who's wise in the ways of the world, but back to run a pie shop in his hometown? Would you believe?
I would.
And would you believe, I'm going to spoil this.
Do they
get together. They do.
So does it have Roman holiday
vibes a little bit? And there's definitely that idea of having this fleeting time together because she's always planning on leaving. She's always planning. And, you know, that is sort of the beauty and the tragedy of Roman holiday is that she doesn't stay. She can't stay. She can't stay with Gregory Peck. She's got a country that she's like royalty for. So, so there's always this, fleeting, like, our time together is limited, but we can't get together because you're just going to leave. But obviously they don't have the car part.
And they can't get it.
They can't possibly get it quickly.
If only there were car rentals, but it's fine.
I mean, this small town, that's a little legit. Also, they have very spotty cell phone service. Okay. So that's, but yeah, do they fall in love? So the sequel, and I told Brent, my husband, who I often recap these books for, I'm like, there's going to be, so that lead man has 3 single sisters.
Of course.
So
you've got 2 more books after this one.
Yeah. So I read the second, which is Practice Makes Perfect. She falls in love with the bodyguard, with the pop star's bodyguard. Mm-hmm. Surprise! Surprise! And I was like, I bet there's like I was like, the older sister is an elementary school teacher, and she's probably going to have some kind of romance where she has to confront her like control freak ways and learn to, that is actually almost exactly the synopsis of the 3rd book. And then before I finished this one, I was like, and that other sister who's miserable as a teacher is going to go to culinary school, and she's probably going to meet somebody. And
so that's where life is.
Yeah, she just got accepted into culinary school at the end. So When in Rome, Practice Makes Perfect. They are fun. They are silly. They're closed-door romances.
Makes me want to watch When in Rome now.
Roman Holiday?
No.
Oh,
No.
I maybe don't know.
Where she it's Kristen, Veronica Mars.
Oh, Kristen Bell?
Bell.
Oh, yes.
She goes and flips the coin, and then she has all the men running after her.
Yes.
It's funny.
It is funny.
Yeah, I should watch that.
Yay for funny books. Would you believe?
They get together.
They get together. So it's fun. Okay.
Okay, well.
I think that's us for today. Thanks for listening. Keep borrowing digital books. Don't get mad at us when the lines are long.
We'll do our best.